YouTubers, good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon, wherever you're watching this transmission and wherever you may be. 'Tis I, your humble servant, Mike Martins, bringing you another very special and non-pornographic edition of Trends in the Housing Market. It is very important that I get this out there. It's very important that you guys get these transmissions out there. I don't want to lose my live streaming. I don't know if this could make any sense, but I will lose my live streaming privileges if I don't get enough hours in my YouTube channel. And unfortunately, I am facing, what am I at? 3,999.89 hours viewed. So if anyone out there could watch me for an extra second, I would appreciate it very, very much. Anyways, I got a big show ahead of you guys. We won't have open lines tonight because I got a lot to cover tonight on what's happening with the housing market. Comment section is already rolling and looking good. I'm just trying to make all these windows fit here. I got lots of open windows here on my second screen, so I got to keep an eye on that too. So Joe's commenting saying, I watched your videos for more than 1 second. California in the House with Eddie Franco. Then someone said, just keep talking about housing, Mike. Don't let the man get you down. No one's getting me down, people. You got to understand, housing is the very most important investment you'll ever make in your entire life. And I need to stress the importance of us being bought out. We're so screwed, you have no idea. Today's articles that I'm going to read, you have no idea how screwed I am. And I got a new soundboard here, so I want to check it out. Hope there's no swearing in this thing. Let me see here.
Hey, what happened?
Yeah, what happened is a good thing to say. Anyways, so I got my new soundboard. I got Walking Journey now in the comment section asking how come we don't have open lines. Sorry, bud. Tonight I got a lot to cover. I got so many articles I need to cover tonight. You guys have no idea what's happening. The housing market is just, it's there. And it's something that, it's something we have to figure out how to, this has to be fixed. Housing turned into a commodity. It became part of the stock market. Yeah, you have a housing market. That's Merry Christmas. Every country has a housing market. But we've become dependently tied to the housing market in our economies. And what's happened with that, it's created a construction boom because you build more, you sell more, and you create more jobs through construction, but we're not exporting and we're not producing. So, Natalie's tuning in from New Zealand. First time catching your housing segment live. Great. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hi, Mike. I have a lot of news, open lines. And then next week, guys, open lines, I promise. I got a lot of stuff to cover here this week. Next week is going to be month's end, and we will have open lines the whole show, and I'll have 2 articles. But if nobody calls in, I'm going to be mad, because I'm not going to have a lot of articles up when it's open lines. And when it's open lines and no one calls in, I'll be very, very mad.
That's right.
Yeah, you got it.
That's right.
So anyways, that's my new soundboard I'm checking out. It's going to be the housing market is going to happen. It's from George Preda. And Post News, Steve the Plumber. I probably, you know what? If you just joined the comments, he's here. Guys, you know what? I probably have the story up here. I got 46 articles open. So this is an important one for people living in the West Coast. Can you please pay attention to me, please? Because if you're living in Toronto, you want to pay attention to this. This might be coming to a city near you. Okay, the NDP is the new government that was voted in, and their platform was housing. Their platform was housing. They didn't care about schooling. They didn't give a damn about anything but housing. Now, they got voted in. Okay, they're in. Now, let it roll, Mike. Okay, I'm rolling it. BC's 2018 budget takes aim at Vancouver's real estate speculators. Here's why. Now, Here's what's happening now, and this went into effect yesterday, okay? Or the day before, because it's the 22nd. Canadian real estate speculation has been a huge issue, and BC plans on addressing it. The province of British Columbia revealed a 2018 budget along with their 30-point plan for housing affordability in British Columbia. So this is it. A 2% annual speculator tax they're adding on. So this might be coming to Toronto. So open up and listen. The new annual speculator tax targets both foreign and domestic homeowners that don't pay income taxes in BC. Okay. The tax begins at 0.5% of the assessed value of the home beginning this fall. It will gradually increase to 2% by 2019. The province acknowledges most homeowners will be exempt from this tax, though those with high worldwide incomes paying little to no taxes in BC are the target. The province warns that auditors will be used to ensure compliance. That's good that they're using auditors to audit billionaires instead of going after small businesses that could barely scrounge $1,000 together. You know what I'm saying? Why the tax? BC has been seeing a number of low-income households in very pricey real estate. This means that some suspicious that international income is not being declared by many homeowners. The rule that comes after one of Canada's largest banks has decided to crack down on similar issue when issuing mortgages. Now, here's the next tax. Luxury transfer tax increase. So people watching this in South Florida, it's not the luxury homes you guys have there when you think of a luxury home. This is just like your standard house, and maybe it has 4 bedrooms instead of 3. So when you're watching this down in Texas, or you're watching this down in Mississippi, or wherever you're watching this, when we say luxury, it's probably the house you're living in right now. So the wealthiest homeowners are being hit with an additional transfer tax effective today, February 21st, 2018. The property transfer tax above $3 million is increased from 3% to 5%. If that didn't hurt enough, the province is also increasing the provincial school tax for those homeowners. That's good. The province is sending the message that luxury home prices are really only for those who can afford it. So it goes into why the tax. Now the next one, increasing the foreign buyer tax. The expansion increase in the province foreign buyer tax is effective as of today. 15% tax levied on property non-residents buying in Metro Vancouver will be increased to 20%. The tax bill will also be expanded to the Capital Regional District. Okay, listen to me. The Fraser Valley and the Central Okanagan and Nanaimo Regional District. The expansion will prevent any non-resident speculation from spilling over into neighboring communities. Okay, why? Let me explain this to you guys so you guys get what I'm saying here. Here in Merritt, if you put your house on the market right now, it will sell tomorrow. In Merritt. The house I bought here for $260,000, and don't think it's a junker. It's a very nice house. It's huge. So, could probably sell now for about $350,000. And I just bought it a year ago, and that's a massive increase from my assessment. That's huge in a year. So, what's happening is a lot of people are leaving the big city, and they're heading eastward. But, the people that are heading eastward, majority of them, are Canadian proper. They're Canadians. I can't even afford a house in my own damn country. I'm leaving the city. I'm done with this place. They move out. They come to cities like Merritt, like I did. I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people that left the city, right? So it's inflating the prices in other cities. It's happening in central England. Central England is experiencing this exact same problem where everybody's leaving South UK, South London, South England, and moving to Central England, and the prices in Central England are inflating. So, why the tax? We don't need to know. Oh, well, let's find out. Non-residents buy 1 in 5 condos in Vancouver. There you go, 1 in 5. Cracking down on pre-sale flipping. That's another one. The province is creating a mandatory database of condo pre-sale buyers. Previously, only developers knew who were buying from flipping properties. The BC government would like to know those people. How often do they do it? Where are they from? And ensuring they're paying the right amount of taxes. Because a lot of people are getting away without paying taxes, right? This information will be shared with the federal tax authorities. More important, it will give the province some hard numbers on whether this is a real imagined problem. A real or an unimagined problem. So, why the tax? This is important. For just 5% down, you could play the condo speculation game across Canada. Condo assignments are being used to impromptu real estate derivatives market. You can buy a pre-sale for 5% down and try to sell the assignment to someone else before you owe the next 5%. And that's what's been happening. You see, when I was in South Florida in 2006-ish, towards the tail end of 2007, the market was going crazy. Condos went up to $150,000 to $200,000 for a condo from $90,000. And a lot of people on the pre-constructions, were buying people's place in line for $10,000, $20,000. That was unheard of. You know, luckily Florida kind of adjusted after the crash and fixed it. So someone's commenting, no jobs in a small town. A luxury home in Vancouver is a second bedroom, yeah, or a second bathroom with a shower. That's a luxury home. Moving to end hidden ownership. About time. The province is looking to track beneficial ownership of properties, that is, who actually owns every home. The Land Title and Survey Authority will now be requesting additional information on property transfers. A publicly accessible registry to beneficial ownership and properties will also be maintained by the province. The information will be shared with tax authorities and law enforcement to ensure compliance with the law. So there's so much in place, guys. This is from Better Dwelling. I really hope they could do a huge Q1 report. Man, I hope Better Dwelling could do a shout-out for me once. You know, I read their articles all the time. So, Harry's commenting here. 24% of 40% increase in the price of houses is unaccounted for, according to the new report. Yep, that's huge. Huge! 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 That means what? A quarter of the population has nowhere to, or it has to cram in quarters.
That's right.
Yep, that's my new soundboard, people. If you just
Clap on, clap off, clap on, clap off, the clapper.
Well, it's time to turn this article off. Do a quick plug for my buddy over at Form a Fist Network. Amazing, amazing, amazing. He's got the NDP story here. BC Budget 2018 real estate stock market. Look at the video. It's by Form a Fist Network. He's just discussing exactly what I just spoke about. And see what he's got going on his channel. He's very informative. He's always upbeat when he's making his videos. And he actually knows what he's talking about. So let's move on to the next article here. So remember the last week I was covering the Vancouver rally? The huge rally in Vancouver? So this article says, hundreds rally in Vancouver to demand affordable, secure housing. Someone is commenting here on my video. Great time travel video. I know. Think about what I said. Everyone's been doing it wrong or thinking it wrong the whole time. And if you haven't seen it, watch it on my channel. It's my time traveling video. Anyways, hundreds rally in Vancouver to demand affordable, secure housing. Hey, I think you're asking for too much. I know you work 3 jobs. Why are people being made to believe that it's normal to live in poverty even though you work 3 jobs? Yeah, say it again. Yeah, hello? Is anybody home? It's ridiculous that everyone I know is struggling, says attendee, struggling to afford housing. These people don't want free housing. They just want to be able to afford to live. So let's keep going here. It's hundreds of people gathered in downtown Vancouver Sunday to demand changes to make housing more affordable in the city. Oh, it's a struggle. It's a nightmare, said Paulo Susi, who attended the rally with Megyn Kelly. We don't have pets. We are non-smokers. And even with that, it's virtually impossible to find a solid rental housing that isn't decrepit for a reasonable price, she said. It's yeah. Community, not a commodity. That's a good one. Community, not a commodity. I usually say it's an asset, not a commodity, but that's right. Especially if you rent, right?
Headshot.
The hell was that?
Finish him.
Yep, that's what do you call that? Mortal Kombat. Let's keep going. The two were joined by others who are also struggling to find appropriate and secure housing. Several said that they spend more than 50% of their incomes on rent. And it's not like they're renting the Taj Mahal. They're probably renting a room. You know what I'm saying? What comes in goes out. Basically living paycheck to paycheck, said Kennedy. It's ridiculous, said students Joe Arias, who lives with his parents in Syria and says it's hard to pay his living expenses. Everyone I know is struggling, he said. The rally comes 2 days before the provincial government is set to present its first full budget. Action on the housing was the centerpiece of the throne speech today. They include reducing speculation, increasing rental and student housing, and better protecting renters. So, there was an array of speakers. Let's keep reading here. To somebody up with a sign, make housing a right. An array of speakers addressed the rally, including affordability experts, those opposed by the Airbnb rentals, and advocates for following animals in rentals. I don't know anyone that would use Airbnb now after they found hidden cameras in there to watch their people, shower and stuff in the bathrooms and stuff. I don't know who would do that. I wouldn't rent from them. So Steve the plumber's commenting, saying they are now expected to qualify just like everyone else. They now have to prove they can afford. Sorry, I just moved to afford the mortgage and proof of income in Canada and taxes paid up to date. See, with me, I bought while this craziness was at its height. And I knew the market was going to go down, but I didn't buy. I don't care. I bought my house for nothing, $260. In comparison to what I was going to buy in Vancouver, I had to put $600,000 down, and then I had to mortgage another $1 million out. So it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. So to buy here in Merritt, even when I bought this house, I tried to mortgage 50% of this property because rates were dirt cheap, and I could, First I went down with 30%, and they said, no, you don't qualify. You own your own business. I showed them my T4s. I showed them everything. They're like, not enough. Not enough. So I don't know what they're talking about, the stress testing going to hit Canadians, because I didn't qualify. I have a 748 beacon score, no gaps on file, and I have 0 inquiries on my credit score. And I've been on file since, I think it's 98 or 99. No gaps, no bankruptcies, nothing. And I didn't qualify. So I went back to the bank and offered 50% down. And they said no. They shut me out. So they wouldn't give it to me. So I basically went in and bought the house. I had to buy the house. I had to buy it free and clear. They would not sell me the house. So I'd still be living in that rental in Vancouver that I was in. You can watch my old videos. And having to live out of there because they won't sell me a house even though I had 50% down. That would have made a very good story. But in Vancouver, if I put $600,000 down, they'll mortgage me the $1 million. So they could take the house and they could take the $600,000. You see how it works? That's how the banks help you. That's a helper. It's going to be a kind, to be honest, home security. Just in case, if we don't have to move, we don't feel pressure to give up our pets, she said, about the house on wheels. So it's a nice long article here. It's got a lot of coverage of a lot of photos too. And a lot of people rallying about this. And I heard there was even a couple of people that own homes down there. People like myself were there because our kids, what about our kids? Does anyone care about the next generation, how they're completely effed? You know what I'm saying? That was a Taco Bell, by the way. Do it again. Taco Bell. Run for the border. Next article. Dozens now pay attention, man. Hundreds rally in Vancouver to demand affordable, secure housing. Okay, fair enough. Same article. Dozens rally against being squeezed out of Vancouver housing market. So their images show a guy with a sign. Dozens. So it kind of makes you wonder what media is working for who. There's Dozens rally, and there's a guy there, and there's looks like a couple of homeless people in the back there. And then hundreds. Dozens. Maybe I can't read. Maybe maybe I can't see what this is, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, check that out. Hundreds rally in Vancouver. Dozens rally against being same rally. This guy's pictures in the other article. That's so interesting. That is so interesting that our own media watchdog that's supposed to look out for us is only looking out for the almighty dollar. But, I mean, follow the money, right? Anyways, before I get into the next article, I want to thank, let me see who I got here. Kevin B. down in West Texas, who's watching me on a smart TV. And he says, I cannot add comments though. That's the only problem. So I want to thank Kevin B for watching me down in West Texas. Yes, if you're watching it on a smart TV, no, you cannot comment. And I want to also send a special thank you to Nina from New Jersey. I love it. I found your channel at work today. The housing is a mess here in New Jersey. Keep up the good work. So, another person down in stateside that are watching. Someone in the comment section is saying, I'm watching from Merritt. I'm like, woo! Locally filmed and recorded and broadcasted out of Merritt, BC. Anyways, let me get the date again. Today is February 22nd. If you're just joining into us, welcome to Trends in the Housing Market. It is me, Mike Martins, just doing a little quick restart here. And we're going to kick off Toronto. What is happening down in Toronto? Housing prices threatening Toronto's ability to retain working-class workforce, Board of Trade says. You know what that means, people? It means that people with important jobs, just like happening in Australia, can't afford to live. So if you see your doctor move to Ocala, Florida, and your nurse move to Jacksonville, and your local anybody like of importance in the government community moving south because they want to own a house, because they want to live a decent, well-rounded life. And that's what's happening. And then everyone brings up that, oh yeah, but the health insurance in the States, no, Obamacare's gone. You pay Blue Cross. My family down there in New Jersey is paying $75 a month per person, $60 per person. And if it's just you alone and you want to restart and settle and lay roots, $75 a month is not that bad. Because here in BC, I think I'm paying $120 a month. So when you look at the, we have to pay for healthcare in BC too. A lot of people don't know that. So Jeff O'Toole saying, hey, Mike, Markham, Ontario representing. Thanks, buddy. And then Steve the Plumber saying, I'm worried about my employees might get a better offer in the United States. It's not even a better offer. Because that nurse, okay, I'm in my store. A lady comes in. She comes in, shakes my hand, and says, oh, Mike, you're the best. I've been watching your channel for a year now. And, I'm kind of doing the move. I'm moving to, I'm going to say goodbye to family in Kamloops. And I'm going to be heading back to Vancouver. I'm like, oh, are you moving to Kamloops? She's like, no, I'm moving to Ocala, Florida. You mentioned it in one of your videos. I've been to Ocala many times. She's like, you mentioned it in one of your videos. I actually looked up the city. I spent 2 weeks vacation there. She's looking at housing there for $177,000 for like a 5-bedroom with a pool. So she's like, that's what I want. It's not that I want possessions. She says, like, I watch your show. It's not about the possessions. It's about laying roots, creating memories, having a place for your kids to grow old. And you and your family to grow old. And that's what she wants. Okay? So this is what she said. So she's a nurse, an advanced RN or something, an advanced registered nurse. And now she moved. She moved 1st of February. And she got a position as a nurse down there, making about the same, but they're giving her a living allowance for a year to get her down there. And if she buys a house within that year, they give her back the living allowance for that prorated for the year. It's amazing. And then someone's, Daniel, my son and wife have no insurance. Only their kids do. Thank you, Obamacare. So, anyways, housing prices threaten Toronto's ability to retain working class workforce. And this is a big problem in Melbourne. It's happening in Sydney. It's happening in London. It's happening in Dublin. Man, New York. Someone, Shane is asking, hey, Mike Martins, what is your prediction for 2019? To be really frank with you guys, it's all in the hands of the government now. We, the people, we're bought out. We are in a position where we either have to move or we have to struggle to make just the basic ends meet. But 2018, 2019, I think after Q1, I've been talking about Q1, first quarter of 2018, which is going to be first and second week of April, we're going to have some clear numbers. So I have a strong belief that after Q1, you're going to see big changes. I have a feeling you're going to see gold spike to $1,450. Easy. I keep telling you guys, and I've been telling you guys pretty much in every video, please watch the price of gold, because that's going to dictate what happens in the housing market. It's going to dictate what happens in the equity markets. It's going to dictate what happens in the stock markets and the futures market. Believe me, this price of gold watching is so important. Get an app and watch what's going to happen. Someone's saying Q1 will be a disaster. Q4 we're in a recession. Q1 is going to give us a good. We need real estate discussion news from Better Dwelling. Better Dwelling really needs to come out with a good Q1. They need a strong Q1 information. They need the layers. We need all the layers of information for us to generate a good thing. I believe Q1. We're going to get a better picture of what's going to happen. And I think by summer, you're going to see disaster. Right now in London, housing prices are dipping. And the problem is they dipped so much that no one's going back to buy them because everyone left. And you're left with a damn ghost city. Mark my words. And let's get back to it. So I had to kind of thirsty there, some lemon water. So the business organizations has released housing pricing policy book in advance. Why didn't these morons in Toronto learn what happened in Vancouver and fix the problem that Vancouver was having? But no, Seattle, same problem. Portland, Oregon, same problem. Yep, that's my soundboard. More than 4 in 10 young professionals are likely to leave the Greater Toronto Area. The Toronto Region Board of Trade conducted a poll of young professionals last year and found that 42% of respondents were likely to leave the Greater Toronto Area because of high cost of housing. The young professionals also indicated that there is an insufficient supply of what TROBT called the missing middle. That's a good way to put it. Options. When it comes to housing, those options included condominium units with 3 or more bedrooms. 79% of respondents of supply was insufficient. And townhouses, 62% said that supply was insufficient. Only 15% of respondents said that the region needs more one-bedroom condominium units. So this is it, people. A lot of people are living to Toronto. That's a huge percentage. And you know what? It's not going to be guys like me, just like regular guys, small business owners. It's going to be like, again, people that could relocate, like doctors, plastic surgeons, lawyers. God forbid someone gets into a fatal car accident and they have no plastic surgeon on site. How do they fix them? Like if there's what do they do? So someone, Hoops 590 says, I sell insurance in America. I'm an agent. You can't afford, you can. Whenever you watch, I can't afford insurance. I can't go to the hospital. Yeah, you can. It's not, I had Blue Cross and I was paying like, I think $70. Then I added this on and added this for an extra $6. I got all these other premiums. It's affordable. Stop watching what you see in movies. Let's move on. Brain drain in Toronto. Brain drain in Toronto, and it's happening, people. People can make fun of me all they want, but it's happening.
Hey, what happened?
That's right. I want to do a quick plug for my boy down in Barrie, Ontario, the Lost Canuck. Really good guys. Really good guy. Really good guy. You know. Sorry, I'm just admiring the comment section and people listening to this on their podcasts. People listen to this transmission at work without viewing. It's really cool. But I'm just reading the comment section here. People, if you can wait, please wait. I think they're talking about home insurance. I think they're talking about buying in for the first time. Lost Canuck, guys, check him out. He's a really good guy. I like this guy a lot. He mentions me a lot in his videos, so I feel like I have to, give him a shout out. Housing crunch could drain Toronto talent pool. Housing crunch could drain Toronto talent pool. Again, same article, different picture. Toronto Region Board of Trade says 42% of young professionals would consider moving to a more affordable housing market. And the problem is, if you go back 10 years and you told people, you see this crack shack here in Vancouver? This teardown? What about it? You know what? That's going to be worth $1.8 million. You'd probably look at him and laugh him off the street if someone came up and showed you that. But it happened. It happened. And we are living.
Hey, what happened?
Yeah, that's what people are waking up to.
What happened?
Brain drain. Toronto housing market hits deep freeze as new rules bite. So Toronto's got its own new rules they implemented, what was it, month and a half ago? Or beginning of the year? New rules to help protect the Canadian proper. And when I say Canadian proper, I don't mean white people. I mean people that have come from all over the world to build and basically make Canada what it is today. Everybody in Canada is pretty much an immigrant. But I'm saying people that actually pay their taxes, send their kids to school, go to church on Sundays, mow their lawns. People that contribute to society. Toronto housing market hit a deep freeze as new rules bite. The Toronto market has begun to buckle under a raft of measures to curb prices that were soaring 20% clip a year ago. Sold over asking. Remember those days? The only thing that might be colder in Toronto in January is the city's housing market. While bleak, mild winter is never the best time to sell a home in Canada, a string of open houses in the country's largest city were chillingly empty on a recent Saturday afternoon. Tougher mortgage rules went into effect in January 1st. just as higher interest rates began to bite and the market's on edge, waiting to see if a downturn that began last year will accelerate under the added pressure. Lots of people are sitting on the sidelines waiting or hoping for prices would fall. President of Toronto-based Realty Inc. said in a phone interview, "I don't expect to see the rapid increase in prices or big turnaround this year."
That's right.
Toronto's housing market has cooled for 7 months, while with prices falling and listings surging.
That's right.
You got it. The market has begun to buckle under the raft of measures to curb prices that were soaring at 20% clip a year ago, and saddling Canadians with debt, part of global real estate boom that swept the cities from Hong Kong to New York. So, what's happening? Big chills. So, this is a decently written article, but it's correction, January 31st. This article was edited from the previous version that was mistakenly said condominium sales rose double digit. Okay, that's not true. The Toronto Real Estate Board is forecasting sales of 85,000 to 95,000 homes this year, compared to 92,000 last year. Prices are forecasted at 800,000 to 850, the midpoint of which would be up slightly from 822, the average recorded in 2017. Prices rose almost 13% last year, the board said in its annual market outlook on Tuesday. So Hoops is saying, so I'm saving money here with low rent. Where you at, buddy? Comment in the comment section. Let's move on. New report indicates Mississauga is at risk of housing bubble. So Mississauga is 25 minutes from downtown Toronto. A 30-minute drive, roughly, depending on traffic. I'm not sure how the traffic is now. And this is the UBS Global Real Estate Bubble Index. Toronto. This is latest index scores for housing market of select cities. So select cities. Toronto, Stockholm, Munich, Vancouver, Sydney, London, Hong Kong, Amsterdam, Paris, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Zurich, Frankfurt, Toronto, Geneva, Boston, Singapore, New York, Milan, and Chicago. And
What up, biatch?
so basically what's happening here is cities outside Toronto, but I already knew Toronto, Brampton, Scarborough, everything's in a bubble. Oakville, everything's in a bubble. So it's not news. So let's head down to Seattle, folks, because Buddy's saying he wants to move to Portland. So Buddy's saying here he wants to move to Portland. And then George Pereira's in Kitchener. That's my fellow Portuguese friend there. And then I got... so I pay $625 a month for rent for a one-bedroom apartment. That's not that bad, Jay. This is Jason commenting. $625 rent for a one-bedroom apartment. That's not bad. Yeah. So many people commenting. Canada has a small population. Why so pricey? No, pricey is a nice word. My friend Hoops there, 590. Pricey is a nice word. It's ridiculously, ludicrously, viciously expensive. A teardown is like 800, 900,000 in Vancouver for a piece of crap that you can't live, that's condemned. So it's like 1.6 million for a decent 3-4 bedroom home. So, and we're not talking about a plantation, a farm, an estate, Wayne Manor, the Taj Mahal. We're talking about a house. A house. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, tech wealth turns attention to affordable housing in Seattle. There's a lot of problems in Seattle right now. The second the city of Vancouver implemented the foreign buyers tax, a lot of people raced south to Seattle, across the border to Tacoma. You go to King County in Tacoma, and it's one of the hottest markets in the United States. And Tacoma, to me, is like Buffalo. It's like Buffalo without Niagara Falls. So that is going through the roof there because a lot of people went south across the border to live in the United States. And so let's keep going here. Rising wealth from Seattle's technology boom changed the face of the neighborhood that used to be the black community's historic core. Now, tech wealth is joining efforts to push back against its gentrification. The project to secure affordable housing in Seattle's Central District is one of several backed by $10.25 million fund run by a nonprofit that has attached high-profile investors from technology world, including Amazon and early investors. The fund is an example of growing interest, private interest. So it's gotten so bad in Seattle that they're going to have to, the changes are not needed, according to this article. But things are being changed, and there's no, it's for worse. Because it all leads to greed. Let's go to Portland. Portland neighborhoods increasingly out of reach for renters. Housing instability grows. Again, Portland, 3 hours south of Seattle, downtown Seattle. Portland, Oregon. It's happening there too. And I've been covering this for like 2 years. So if you're just tuning in, someone's commenting to me, Mike, is there farmland in Merritt? Tons of farmland in Merritt. You want to look at Lower Nicola. Lower Nicola is 7-minute drive from downtown Merritt. And Lower Nicola is got very good farmland for very cheap. So you can look that up if you want. And someone else is commenting, very few could qualify for a mortgage over $500K. Please watch the video I made about mortgage pricing. It's very important. This is actually very important. I'm actually going to find this video so you guys can see what it looks like on my channel. Well, when I get to it, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to actually show you guys the importance of the video I made. I actually got a stress test calculator from CIBC. I got my calculator. I got a house that was for sale, a little townhome in Coquitlam for $700,000. They're advertising it as, oh, a family starter home. But the problem is you needed like $300,000 income to even buy, to qualify to buy it. You need to make $300,000 a year or something ridiculous like that. Oh, lots of comments going through them. It's going so fast. Anyways, rising cost of housing in Portland continues to be one of the foremost challenges facing the city. The city voted last October to extend its housing emergency declaration. Look at that, de-gentrification. The need for such action has become undeniable for so many Portlanders. The 2017 International Housing Affordability Survey by the St. Louis-based Public Policy Consulting from Demographia found Portland to be the 9th most unaffordable housing market in the country, tied with Seattle. I just read an article from Seattle. Why? It's the gateway to the West. The whole west coast of America is the gateway. All the way from Anchorage, Alaska, all the way down the Panhandle to Vancouver, to Seattle, to Portland, Oregon, to San Francisco, down to LA County, San Diego, right to the Tijuana border. It's being bought out. Speculators, investors, people want to park their money, get it out of their country for fear of losing everything. So, someone saying, I seen the video. And then someone saying, places to grow, gone housing in TO cut in half. So, Comment section is really good. Don't forget to join us live, guys. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Tijuana time. So, Portland Housing Bureau put out its most recent State of the Housing in Portland report in December 2016, showcasing the growing problem. Rents and home prices continue to rise, and housing instability and involuntary displacement are constant presence for too many Portlanders, Commissioner Dan Saltzman wrote in a forward report. Below are some key findings. Here are the findings. Average 26 monthly rent in Portland. Okay. Studio apartment, $1,069 for a studio. So it's a room? I guess it's a room. And then you have a toilet next to you, like a jail? Is that what a studio apartment is? Like, is your toilet beside your bed? I'm not sure how a studio... I've never lived in a studio apartment. I lived in a loft in Manhattan, but that was different because, yeah. And one bedroom, $1,328 for a one bedroom in Portland. A two bedroom in Portland is $1,520, and a three bedroom is $1,562. I would rather pay the extra $50 and get the three bedroom, and then use the other room and rent it out to some guy for like $500. Anyways, I'm just joking around.
That's right.
Okay, let's move on here. So people living in Portland are struggling too. And it's not like people want free stuff. People want to work. People want to build a future. People want to be proud. People want to raise families. But no! People are holding back on having families. People are holding back on taking a job. People are holding back on having kids. People are holding back on buying a house. Everyone's holding back on life, getting married, getting this, getting that, because of this damn housing problem. I have a feeling 5 years from now, this housing issue is going to spark so many psychological problems with people. And, sorry I'm late today. America's Pastor Billy Graham passes away today. Very emotional day. Well, we'll keep Billy Graham in our prayers. Very influential pastor there in the United States. And Canada, too. Anyways, that's what's happening with Portland, Oregon. Feel bad for the people living there. Ready for this, guys? San Francisco housing market is so dire. People need to make over $300 large a year. That's $300,000 a year to afford a typical home. $300 large a year. That's $396,000 or $378,000 Canadian a year to afford a typical home. And we're not talking about a plantation. We're not talking about a farm. We're not talking about an estate. We're not talking about Wayne Manor. We're not talking about the Taj Mahal. We ain't talking about freaking stadium you're buying. You're actually buying a typical home, but you need to make $300 large per year. So, let us please have a moment in silence to reflect on San Francisco's housing market, because, yeah, what do? You move, right? So they can't be crying 3 months later. Oh, where are our nurses going? Well, they're going to Florida. Where is everybody going? You know, all the taxi drivers apparently are leaving because Uber's taking over. You know what I'm saying? It's.
That's right.
That's my sound board.
That's right. I don't think so.
That's really good. Anyway, San Francisco housing, like, okay, $300,000 a year to afford the typical home. $300,000 US. It's about $370,000 Canadian dollars. Wow. Canada's not so bad, because to buy a home in Canada, like in Coquitlam, like 40 minutes from Vancouver, you need to make about $180,000 a year. that's putting down 200 grand, and that's making sure you have no other debt. So this is crazy. This is nuts. Only 12% of households in the city can afford the medium price home. You just figure this out? The high cost of living is making it harder for tech companies and nonprofit organizations to recruit and retain employees in San Francisco. Well, you don't say, eh?
That's right.
A report from Paragon Real Estate reveals that the household income now required to buy a medium home price in San Francisco reached the all-time high of $303 large in December. That means a person wants to buy property in the city needs a mid-six-figure salary in order to afford 20% down payment on a $1.5 million home. And that's, again, at the beginning of the article, a typical home. Something you probably grew up in if you were born in the 80s. A typical home. And everybody's commenting here. Real estate agent is the easiest job ever, or what? Then someone else is people are blind, and then someone else is commenting, gold is the money of kings, silver is the money of gentlemen, barter is the money of peasants, but debt is the money of slaves. That's correct. That is very good, Jason. Thank you for commenting on that. That's very good. Jeff O'Toole replies and says, yep. So Daniel O'Brien is saying, when you leave the Bay Area, house prices drop big time. But the problem is you need people living in the Bay Area so the infrastructure doesn't fall apart. The second the garbage men can't afford to live there, and garbage men make pretty good money, the second they can't live there anymore, guess what happens? Guess what happens when important services people take for granted on a daily basis leave because they just can't afford? Look what happens. According to Paragon Real Estate, only 12% of households in San Francisco can afford it. Even tech workers can't afford to live in the Bay Area. Our employees, particularly the younger ones, struggle to make ends meet. They leave when they start families. How can we be equitable employer when those who can't afford to work for us? See, everyone, I wanted to start a family, right? And I moved out to this small town. I bought somewhat of a bigger house than I needed, but you know what? I'm going to use all the rooms. I got a gym. I'm going to do a nice TV theater room, and watch my videos. I'm not trying to brag. I'm trying to make people understand. Leave the damn cities. And everyone says there's no jobs in the small towns. Well, make a job in the small town. I opened a little shop out here, get it rolling from my experience, from what I know in the city. And now I'm selling on eBay from home. And it's entertaining, Someone's commenting here. Rates are going to rise actually 3 times in 2018 from what I've heard. And Mike, what are your opinion on BC budget? Do you think it will bring prices down? Yes, I actually read the article here at the beginning of the show, right here, and right here, and right here. So if you want to go back to the beginning of the show, you will catch that at the beginning. So I did comment on it for a while. It's a really good section of the show. Let's move on. 75% of LA residents can't afford to buy in LA. Why?
That's right.
70% of LA residents can't afford. It's showing my internet has been disconnected and it's reconnecting. Sorry guys, Antonio's here. Rose, can you come and grab Antonio? Antonio, fecha a porta. And where was I, guys? I'm really sorry. So my son ran in here. And I'm just trying to get this back the way it was. Okay, perfect. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. And where is my... Okay. So anyways, let me get back to what I was saying. Housing in Los Angeles, out of control. And this is... stream is back. Okay, good, guys. Stream is back. Okay, 75% of LA residents can't afford to buy in LA. Do you guys have an idea of how many people live in LA? That's a lot of people. That's probably like a quarter or half of Canada's population. Mind you, 3/4 of Canada's population can't afford to buy. Let me just close this door here, people. Sorry about that. Mind you, half of Canada's or 3/4 of Canada's population can't even afford to buy. Or more. I think like 90% of Canada's populations. Home prices in Los Angeles are quickly getting out of reach for many residents, according to the new report from the California Association of Realtors. It finds that just 1 in 4 residents in LA County make enough to afford the medium-priced home in the area. The Association Housing Affordability Index shows that the typical LA County home cost $553 large in the fourth quarter of 2017. So it's still within reason compared to Vancouver pricing. So very interested to see where things are going to go with America. I told you guys, America is going to be very interesting because they've already tried to put the foreign buyers tax in Seattle. They've been trying to put the foreign buyers tax in Portland, and they said that's against the Constitution. They can't do that. So I'm really, really interested in seeing how the Constitution is going to help if it's against. How does it protect the American proper? So someone's commenting saying, Portland has a good idea when it comes to sprawl control, and they don't kill their inner cities with expanding roads and other urban centers. So someone counted, LA County population, 10 million. So basically, 75% of that, for most 75% of the county residents don't earn enough to, so 75% of 10 million people. So 7.5 million people living in there can't afford to buy. Historic data show it's gotten much harder to afford an LA home in recent years. As recently as the first quarter of 2012, more than half of residents took home the required income to purchase a home in the area. Since then, though, prices have risen dramatically and incomes haven't quite caught up. In a wider Los Angeles metropolitan area, a salary of $53,780 was required to buy a medium-priced home in 2012, compared to $100,000 today. So you need to make $100 large per year to buy. We're not buying free and clear here. You're just buying, and you're going to enslave debt your mortgage for 30, 40 years. You know what I'm saying? Someone's commenting here, the quality of life in Southern California is getting worse. So someone is saying, Mike, this will balance. Patience pays. Canada does not crash like the U.S. It is a slow and painful death. Took 6 years for the bottom of 89 to 95 housing fall. I remember that. That was a whiles back. Let's move on. Dublin will need to house 2.3 million people before 2031. Dublin, I was looking at this. Ireland is in this predicament that they think they need to build out of this problem. Look at this asphalt concrete here. Look at that. Look at that. Really? It's getting so... An extra 360,000 people are predicted to be living in Dublin in the next 13 years, according to Initiative Ireland. The study has found that they're going to need 170,000 new homes to house 2.26 million people. But a lot of people aren't even having kids anymore because they can't even afford to. Where are these people coming from? Let's move on. Here's Dublin's population. 527,000, article stating 2.3 million by 2031. You be the judge of that. You let me know in the comments section.
Hey, what happened?
For London housing, it's the end of the boom, says Rightmove. So, I'm getting a lot of conflicting articles coming from London, England, stating, hey, Mark, housing's doing good. It's real good. And then I got people writing to me, what are you talking about? It's crumbling. Everyone's leaving. There's a mass exodus from London. Everyone's leaving. People are starting families in Middle London or Middle England. They're moving to Middle England, starting jobs, creating a demand. So when people start moving out there, hey, I need to get my car fixed. I'm not driving all the way to London. Let's get a mechanic shop here. Let's get a coffee shop here. Let's start getting things here. Let's get a post office here. Let's start building. You know what I'm saying? So somebody, Oakville Construction is commenting here. Condos in my complex were going for $380 last spring. Now they are $340,000. That's in Oakville, Ontario, guys. That's not in Oakville, Scotland. So just so you know. Initiative Ireland is a mortgage company, completely biased. Oh, it's called the Midlands, not Middle England. I'm sorry, man. I'm Portuguese. Okay, what do you want from me? Anyways, London's property market has moved of its boom phase to home sellers need more realistic about the price demands, according to Rightmove. The February report of home listing website shows that asking prices were down 1% from the year earlier. A sixth consecutive fall. They rose 4.4% on the month, reflecting a usual jump at the start of the spring season. While multiple reports point to a cooling in London housing, the damage is being limited by cautious sellers who aren't flooding the market in a panic dump. That means that long-running supply-demand imbalance in the city is providing some support to prices. End of the boom, prices normally readjust more quickly if they are oversupply. Miles Shipside, Rightmover director, said in the report. So basically, they're trying to create a balance here where there's not a runoff on the housing market where everybody's selling. But I think these are things they put in place or things they say to calm investors down. Because you know what it is? It's about making the shareholders happy. It's a corporation now. Housing is a corporation. We got to make the shareholders happy. Okay? And then someone is going here. Let's move on to the next article. It's my channel, yes. So people, I've gotten like 200 subscribers in the last week, which is the highest subscription rate I've ever had on my channel. I'm at 3,093 subscribers. So if you haven't told your friends, just say, hey, there's this lunatic guy. I don't know. He's not even professional. You should see him on TV. He's talking about housing. See what he has to say, you know. He's talking about his rants and lifestyle. He's talking about, he opened a game store from scratch. This is a really good series. Watch it. Where I opened my business from scratch here in Merritt. Starting a business from scratch. Home business. This is my home business. And my ins and outs and shipping. Don't forget to watch my Living the Dream series. And right here, this is the video where you can see the house. This is 260. I've actually nicknamed this 260 because this is the $260,000 house I bought. It's got almost 10, you would say 10 bedrooms. It's got lots of bathrooms in it. It's beautiful. It's spacious. It's got 3 living rooms, 3 big living rooms, a great room, and it has and I'm not bragging because this house is worthless because I bought outside the city. It has value to it, but it's an asset to me. Okay, it's not a commodity. It's something my kids are going to grow in. And if it goes down in value from 260, you know what? I don't care. Because I'm not paying all these Mickey Mouse rents and getting moved around like an animal. There's all the closets there. This is the room we're in right now, guys. See that? That's the room we're in right now with those ugly doors. Look at it. That's it right here. That's the room I'm in right now. That was one of the bedrooms with the ensuite. Had a bathroom and everything. So there's my view. So that's the room we're in right now. I've changed it a lot. Everything, crown moldings, everything. This room is, yeah. I'm going to do the hallway in the summer. I'll do a video series about that. So don't forget, guys, please subscribe to my channel. I need the extra second. What do I mean by the extra second? Every time I calculate my analytics, I need 4,000 hours to keep my streaming going, of views, 4,000 hours worth of views per month, and I'm surprisingly getting 3,999.89 hours viewed. So that's 3,999.89. So if someone needs to watch me for another second. And Jeff O'Toole is saying, wonderful house. Yeah, check it out. 260? 260, that's the nickname I give my house, is 260. So in videos, I'm talking about 260. Like, hey guys, I'm doing this 260 today. You know, it's a good nickname for the house. Anyways, let's move on. Hundreds of rough sleepers in Scotland to be offered homes. Are you ready to see what's happening in Edinburgh, people? I know it doesn't, a lot of people, it doesn't affect them. Watch this. Look how many people are sleeping outside. It's winter time. So people are saying, people are saying in the market, it's Mike Martin's is mortgage free. I hope so. The house was pretty much free. Not free, but in comparison to Vancouver, it's breadcrumbs. I'm lucky I didn't put that $600,000 down in Vancouver. I'd be screwed today with $1 million mortgage. And then there's lots of Harry's commenting. There are a lot of people covering housing, but most of them are lying, distracting, housing searching couples. Okay. And then Jason says, are those baseboard heaters in your house? It's a good thing you have a fireplace. Yes, there's 2 fireplaces in the house, and yes, they are baseboard heaters, and the gas is expensive. So I'm gonna probably do a 2018 video series. I'm gonna get in 2018, I'm thinking of redoing my roof with the new Tesla tiles, the new Tesla roof tiles, and put that contraption in my garage. And what I'm going to do is I really want to do that Tesla thing, and then switch all my baseboard heaters to electric, and switch all my my water heater to electric, and then pretty much cut the gas, because gas is getting way expensive because of the carbon taxes. Watch the video I made about when I read my gas bill. I'm paying like $200 in carbon tax. Anyways. Yeah, they're electric baseboard heaters, but they work with water. They work with water. It's a good system. It's a gas system, and it heats up the water, and the water goes through. So, yeah. So people are miserable in Toronto. They just don't let on. So watch the video I did about hate, why people hate each other, and the hatred going on, and people are being miserable. And watch it. It's in my channel. It's in my channel if you want some good entertainment. Social Bite working with housing groups and councils to offer homeless wraparound support. This is in Edinburgh, Scotland, people. At least 600 of Scotland's most vulnerable rough sleepers are to be provided with homes and the continuing support they need to sustain their tenancies in the largest community of its kind in the UK. So, death of homelessness in Westminster. It's causing a problem. I mean, the problem is a lot of these people, they don't want free housing. They just want affordable housing. They just want a house to be what it's... People want to pay for a house that's what it's worth. That's why when I was living in Vancouver and people were like, oh, what's the matter, poor white boy? People were commenting in the comment section, oh, poor white boy can't afford to buy a house in Vancouver. It's like, no, it's not that I don't have $2 million. I'm not paying $2 million for a house that's worth $300,000. I might be dumb, but I ain't stupid.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
I might be dumb, but I ain't stupid. I'm not putting $2 million. I'm not laying $2 million on a house that's worth $400,000. And the comments are just going nuts. Someone saying, Mike Martins, you have hot water heating radiators? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Bricks and sticks. That's what it is, people. I want a place for my kids to grow up. Anyways, that's what's happened in Edinburgh, Scotland. I don't understand. Like, it's almost like they're making fun of us. Like we're being made fun of. You know? It's almost like they're having a good time watching us struggle. And I don't know. International Monetary Fund sees a soft landing for house prices. The International Monetary Fund has predicted a soft landing for Australian house prices, even though it says the market is still between 5 and 15% over-evaluated. Are you out of your tree? 5 to 15% over-evaluated? Try like 70% over-evaluated. Australia, for people just tuning in or just becoming to understand the housing market in Australia. Australia has been in a bull market for its housing since 1979. Do you understand? Barry White made an album that year. Okay? Barry White. If you don't know who Barry White is, then you don't remember 1979. That's when that, if you bought before 1979 in Australia, you were fine. Do you understand what's going on here? So, the International Monetary Fund has predicted a soft landing. The Washington-based institution endorsed multi-pronged. So it wants me to buy. It wants me to pay to read this article. It said if I pay $1, $1 Australian dollar, they would allow me to read this article. I said, I'd rather take an Australian dollar and spend it on something better.
That's right.
Okay. Home prices across Australia continue to fall. By David Scott. This guy's got some really good articles. Home prices fell across the mainland state capitals last week. Sydney prices now going backwards, adjusting for inflation. Stock on offer rising in Sydney, Melbourne, and Adelaide. While Australian auction clearance rates appear to be rebounding, led by noticeable improvement in Sydney, that's yet to have a meaningful impact on prices, which continued to fall last week. According to CoreLogic, the prices across Australia's 5 mainland state capitals fell 0.1% last week in average weighted terms, taking the decline over the past month at 0.4%. In contrast, the auction clearance rate, which had Sydney at the top of the charts based off preliminary data, the national decline was yet again led by Australia's largest and most expensive housing market, where prices fell by further 0.2% during the week. That took gains in Sydney over the past year to 0.1. So if the gain over the past year is 0.1, it's ready to go. Meaning prices are now going backwards in real inflation-adjusted terms. That's a far cry from the double-digit percentage gains seen less than a year ago. Elsewhere, prices fell by 0.1% in other capitals over the week, including in Melbourne. So, here it is. Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, all seeing changes, all in the negatives. That's how it starts, people. It could be like someone said in the
I don't think so.
Someone said in the comments section earlier, it's a slow, painful death, 5-6 years till the bottom falls out, and that could happen. You know what I'm saying? So,
What up, biatch?
let's move on. By the Domain, market heading towards equilibrium. Housing Industry Association claims. What is this, a friggin' airplane now? Equilibrium? So I like how they make it so relaxing for the investors. Oh, it's equilibrium. Oh, it's equilibrium. I love it how they make it seem like it's you know, yeah, it's a term we give, you know. Investors, don't worry, keep on investing. For the first time in 15 years, supply and demand in the Australian housing market is nearing equilibrium. Australia's Peak Residential Building Association claims. The Housing Industry Association has released its national outlook for 2018. Let me see. Let me get a good soundboard. Here we go.
You suck!
There we go. 2018, which shows record levels of building activities over the past 2 years. Yeah, tons of cranes in Australia. Lots of cranes building. Finally made an impact, providing enough housing stock to meet the current population growth in the East Coast metropolitan areas.
You suck!
So you're trying to tell me that all these Australian people that are not having kids, holding back on having kids, not having kids, and having this thing, basically, equilibrium. How does that work? You know what I'm saying? If someone could explain to me, because it's catching up now. What about the 70,000 empty homes across Australia? What about those investor homes? Do those count in this equation? I don't know what's happening. This is. You know what?
You suck.
So HIA's principal economist. Hey, Antonio. And my son's here. Speaking of family, he's wearing his Ray-Bans. There's my son Antonio. His mom gave him a haircut today. And he's wearing his Ray-Bans today. Yep. And someone's saying, save up. Someone's saying, I'm sitting on 200K. Then someone else is saying, time to buy is coming soon. And then someone else is saying, I'm still waiting. Then someone else is saying, damn. And then someone's saying, I have less than half that and I'm 31. Yeah. Yeah, so this is it. This is why I moved here. It's because I want my kids to live in a proper home. I don't want this, you know, and then overcrowding in the cities. Not overcrowding. It's not dense. There's not a lot of density in the city of Vancouver, right? There's not a lot of density in the city of Vancouver. There's not a lot of people there. It's the problem is the traffic of people coming into the city. You know what I'm saying? So the traffic of people coming into the city is a big problem because everyone's coming into the city to work. And then when you want to just go get some grocery shopping or you want to do something at 3 in the morning, you're in traffic at 3 in the morning. And that's really upsetting when you're trying to, you know what I'm saying? No, Tonio para trás. Tonio's playing with my packing peanuts there. Anyway, so that's that. I don't believe this article. So this article by Antonio.
You suck.
Fecha a porta, Anton. Let's close the door there. It's cold. Está frio. Obrigado. I love you. Anyways.
You suck.
So yeah, so equilibrium. There's too much underlying things happening for this article to make any sense. Let's move on. Hot housing lifts profits for nation. Biggest developers.
You suck.
Again, developers. Follow the money. Sydney, Melbourne's heated real estate prices have buoyed. Why are they using these bullshit words? Here you go. That's for prices have buoyed. Really?
You suck.
Why don't you say prices are dropping, prices are crashing? I could even take a correction, but prices have buoyed.
You suck.
Helping Boyd, the country's biggest diversified property developers, I like how they say diversified property developers, helping deliver strong profits despite weak retail conditions. Retail's dying because there's no more middle class to buy. And then when no more middle class buys, guess what happens? Nothing gets produced. And when nothing gets produced, it's
you suck.
That's exactly what it is. Property giant Stockland delivered $684 million in first half of statutory profit, reporting underlying earnings growth of 18%. The group, which built housing estates, retirement villages, and industrial parks, is Australia's largest listed residential property company. So, really disappointing, that it's all about following the money and making profits. It's good that companies make money to stay in business, but they don't even hire anybody. The big companies that are making these billions and billions of dollars, they don't even hire nobody to work for them. Yeah, I don't know, man. Wow. That was a bad one. That was the wake up on the soundboard there. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to... this one's good.
You suck.
That's Stewie Griffin. And he's right. Follow the money. Melbourne, Sydney homes face a 1 in 5 chance of price correction, says JP Morgan. Okay, I could handle price correction, but using words like that, don't mean, trying to mislead people. Anyways, it's one of those articles where I got to pay $40 to read. Melbourne and Sydney housing prices face near 1 in 5 risk of price correction after rising faster against wages than in any other city. New release. It is, if they say it's 9.5 times the median income, it's actually 12.6 times the median income in Sydney and Melbourne. So if they say it's 9.5, I've looked into it, it's 12.6. Vancouver is just over 13% the median income, or 14% the median income. So let's move on. So this is at Melbourne. Let's move on to here. Oh, guys, pay attention. I know you guys are in the comment section talking. Pay attention, please. Another bonus word. Property sector takes price confidence hit.
You suck. You suck. You suck.
Property sector takes price confidence hit. What the hell does that even mean? A confidence hit. What is it? You're boxing? You get punched in the face by the other guy? Oh, that was just a confidence hit. Don't worry. What the hell is that even supposed to mean? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to hit this again.
You suck.
Property sector takes price confidence hit. So where is this out of? Is this out of New Zealand? This has got to be out of New Zealand. Yeah, it's out of New Zealand. The property market slowdown has taken its toll on confidence in the sector and the outlook on prices. ASB Bank's quarterly survey of the housing confidence shows that sentiment was mixed, with fewer people expecting house prices to rise, more thinking it would be a good time to buy. No, it's not a good time to buy. New Zealand, sit back and wait. Let me close the door here. A net 16% expected to rise this coming year, and the lowest level in 6.5 years. That compared with 17% in previous survey in October, 32% ago. New Zealand is under this again, the market will continue to concentrate by population growth and low housing supply for some time. What about, 22,000 empty units or across Auckland owned by investors? They're not focusing on what's really wrong here. New Zealand is a huge
You suck.
show. It's really bad. And it's a poop show in New Zealand. New Zealand's birth rate is going down. New Zealand proper is bought out of the market. New Zealand, people are leaving the meth houses, the decrepit housing. The living conditions in New Zealand is beyond anything you would ever imagine. 40 people to a house, in one house. 40 people, because it's so out of control in New Zealand. People, and then the media in New Zealand, they never tell anything that's right. They never really tell the people what's going on. That's why New Zealand, if you are under a rock, passed a law that they're only going to sell to locals. No more foreign investing. No more foreign speculators allowed to buy New Zealand. And that's basically myself. I couldn't go buy New Zealand, but that's okay. They're protecting their people. So, anyways, it's like... It's pretty bad. Oh, I hope this is not my comic. No, it's not. Oh, God, this is my... What is this? Oh, it's a free comic. Here you go, son. Robin. My son loves Robin. He's always Robin for Christmas. Halloween. There's a degree of uncertainty around the potential impact of policy changes, so investors and homeowners are likely to remain cautious and not rush into any major decisions, he said. New Zealand? Wait. I am not an expert in anything, but just wait. Okay? So a lot of people saying, talk about Vancouver. I already talked about it at the beginning. It's right here. BC's budget, Formafist budget, hundreds rally in Vancouver, lots of Vancouver discussion at the beginning of the show, guys. So when I'm done the transmission, just go to the beginning of the show. I'm covering a couple of stories that's happening there. Been on the air for an hour and a half. Property sector takes price confidence hits. Why? And Hamilton, and we're not talking about Hamilton, Ontario, people, or Hamilton, England. We're talking about Hamilton, New Zealand. So there's something happening there. Hamilton first home buyers could have more options in special housing areas. So it looks like central government made a push for 40% of the homes in special housing areas to be eligible for KiwiBuild. It's a 10-year program to build 100,000 homes for first-time buyers. See, it's not low income, it's just affordable homes. People just want to live a normal home. You know what I'm saying? So Margaret O'Brien saying New Zealand prices have not crashed yet, still rising in regional places. So Hamilton Mayor Andrew King wants to help the government make that happen, but council doesn't yet know what price homes will need to be to qualify. So they got to get their act together in New Zealand and help, really work this out, because the New Zealand proper, once New Zealand loses its identity and who they are, the country might as well just turn the off close sign, because you're going to go to government institutions to get things done. No one could talk to each other. It's really bad. It's really bad. So that's that. That's a wrap up, guys, of all the articles I have here. So recap on the articles. BC's 2018 budget. I talk about that. Hundreds rally in demand for affordable, secure housing in Vancouver. Same thing with the other article. And then Toronto. Then I go into Toronto Crunch, brain drain in Toronto. And Mississauga, Ontario is a bubble. Tech wealth turns attention to affordable housing in Seattle. And this is the price in Portland for an apartment, for the average apartment in Portland, Oregon. Portland's neighborhood increasingly out of reach. San Francisco, people need to make a $300,000 a year for a typical home. And 70% of LA residents can't afford to buy in LA. That's 7.5 million people. Dublin will need 2.3 million. We'll need 2.3 million. Need to house 2.3 million, but the population of Dublin is only 527,000 right now. London housing, it's at the end of its boom. And look at this, how people are sleeping in Edinburgh, Scotland. And what else do we have in the show? International Monetary Fund see soft landing for housing prices. And what's this article? It's a good one. It's about Australia. Yeah, home prices across Australia continue to fall. So there's lots in the show. So when I log off, you guys go ahead and go back. And people are commenting the world population is predicted to fall 1 million %. But if a country takes in 8 million people from another country, or 10 or 12 million, that screws the demographic, and then there is no housing available, and there's no jobs available, and there's nothing available. Once countries increase their immigration, the people living in the countries don't have kids anymore. And countries like Canada and Italy too. Italy has a death rate higher than the birth rate. People have less kids. And when people have less kids, it's detrimental to the future of the sovereignty, or what it means to be Canadian or American or British, or you know what I'm saying. Anyways.
Do you understand the words that come out of my mouth?
Yeah. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Yeah, and someone's commenting, countries have to fix their own countries. Sunday night, if I'm not tired, guys, I'll do a Rants and Lifestyle show with open lines, and we could talk about what's happening with immigration. We could talk about what's happening with other countries, how they should be fixing their own countries. We could do that maybe Sunday night, late at night, Mike in the Night. We'll do another Mike in the Night if you guys want. So scroll to the beginning of the show if you missed. Logging off, Mike Martins. Thanks for watching, broadcasting out of Merritt, British Columbia. I appreciate it. Subscribe. It really means a lot to me that you guys are supporting me. And thanks for watching, guys.